Week 2 is done. Let's take a look at what we've made this week to progress this project towards making my life just a little bit easier. What I've kind of landed on with this project is that regular expressions are going to be actually very, very helpful. Let's see this script in action. Okay, awesome. We've got number 1 through 10. So in this particular file, I've got 10 IP addresses, and then I've got a number like I wanted beside each one. Okay, so my script is asking me to input a numerical value. I'm going to choose a small one because I know it's small here, and 1. And it spits out data relevant to that. So remember, selection 1 was 1.64 here. If we go down, that's the data that I got, which is awesome. Let's clear the screen and let's look at a machine that has a lot more. So I believe number 6 has a ton of stuff in it. Yes, it does. Scroll up. It's got tons of stuff in there. 6 was 1.70. And here we go. We got 1.70. And this is all of the relevant port, service, and version that pertain to that 1.70. Awesome. Let's input a file that does not have the all in it. Okay, it's not this one that has absolutely everything. We'll put in the normal one. Let's see what that one does. Fingers crossed. Okay, that's good. And I'm gonna go with 6 again because we know 6, the .70 here, has a lot of information. 6. Beautiful. Selected host, state of the service. Look at that. Those are all of the open ports that were in that network scan. It's helpful. It doesn't have as much information as the all, but it's still pretty useful. Let's take a look at what this code is doing for us and how it helps us accomplish our goal for the week. Okay, so we start off, we've created some empty lists where I'm going to be putting hosts. I'm going to be doing the IP address from the Nmap scan, and then inside that scan there was an IP address, which is really important. I want that, and then all the other data that is relevant, ports, versions. I'm going to grab all of that and slap it into this list here. Okay, we've got our IP pattern, which is good. That's how we were able to grab the IP address. And last week we did this piece, but this week we are adding 2 new functions. And so I've got extract nmap info, and I've got ports out. Okay, so this is actually going to be grabbing the information that's going to be eventually put into these lists here. So let's go down, and at this point I actually that was last week, but I called the input data and I turned that file into data that this script can use. Extracted info, I send this data that is now an object, I send that object to extracted info, which is up here, and then I've got a pattern, a regular expression, and I'm specifically looking for everything that lives in between this string and this string, everything that's in between there. And if it does that, I want to return that data to this variable that's been created down here so that I can do further work on it. Okay, and then if we look at my other function that we've made here, we're taking that same object that was created here, and we are going to now have a different pattern where we're looking for all the data that lives between this string and this string. Okay, because that's all the port information, which is really important. And then we do the exact same process. We do matches and we see all the matches, and it will create kind of a list in itself that we're going to iterate through further on. And it returns that list. A lot of lists in this script, which is fine. I like lists. And over here is a very, very straightforward looping where I'm going to actually take the extracted info. So that was the first function that we had there. And we are going to match for that IP pattern. I'm going to grab that IP pattern. So that would be like 192.168.1.74, whatever, and append it into that list that we made at the beginning. And we got another loop here where we're going through the ports. And at this point, I'm just adding all of that data to a specific list that I can call on later. That's the purpose of this loop right here. And then finally, we've got our a value, and we have an input, and I'm turning that input, that selection, into a integer. So input, select the numerical value of the desired host, yada, yada, yada. And then print selected host, choose the host that is relevant, and then all the port data that's relevant. Tune in next week for more on the Python project.